little bit of a green day today, and that part of that is the SEC. It reports that the SEC has started talks with Grayscale on details about the company's application to convert its trust product GBTC to a spot Bitcoin ETF, according to a CoinDesk source. Got to note this: Grayscale and CoinDesk, both owned by DCG. So, joining us now to discuss this whole of potential discussion is CEO of institutional DeFi asset management at DeFi asset management company Hashnote, Leo Mizuhara. Welcome back, Leo.
Hi, good to be back again. How are you guys?
Great to see you again. So, what does this mean overall for the crypto industry? Is this really momentous, or is this a typical discussions between an institution and a regulator?
I think this GBTC thing is pretty big. My guess is it's their attempt to equalize the playing field in that they want to approve all the ETFs at once. Right? We've heard that story before in terms of with the number of ETFs that are currently getting approved, they want to try to not be the kingmaker. So approve as many of them at once as they can. And given that GBTC is also trying to convert their futures ETF into a spot ETF, I think this is just another hint toward timing on when we're going to get this approval of the ETFs.
If all of these ETFs are approved at the same time and there's no first mover advantage, could that potentially be not so great for Grayscale, given that BlackRock is also in the running, largest asset manager in the world? What do you think?
It's probably no worse than if they don't get it, right? Like they're better off having the ability to convert to an ETF than not. So I don't think be converting with them along at the same time is any worse for them. If anything, they want that flexibility and they want to be able to give their investors that choice of not having the negative carry in futures.
So, Leo, we see from Bloomberg they expect a 90% chance of a launch in by January, for an ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF, one or many. What do you think of that timeline? And also, what would deem it a success and a failure? What kind of criteria, if we were to look at assets under management a month out, a year out from when it's launched? We had these ETFs that launched that were futures-based ETFs for Ethereum, lackluster. Now we're looking at a spot Bitcoin ETF. What is the timeline, and what would mean it's a success, and what would mean it's a failure?
Well, I think that seeing an increase in demand at all is really a success here. One thing I kind of fear is that with so many ETFs launching at once, the liquidity in any given ETF could be lower than we would like. That all said, I think there's a lot of evidence that there's a lot of pent-up demand for this stuff. And I think I saw one article that was saying that there's a potential for another $6 billion in demand for Bitcoin assets once the ETF is launched. That would be approximately double the current market cap, which is obviously huge. We also have the halvening coming up, which is also going to increase the demand in the space or reduce supply. So I think these are all pretty positive things. I don't expect the total AUM of Bitcoin ETFs to skyrocket as soon as they happen. I think it'll take maybe a year or two for all the big asset managers to really start moving their clients into this product. But I think it's inevitable that asset managers are going to move some percentage of their assets into Bitcoin, in the same way that a lot of asset managers hold a percentage of their wealth in things like gold and other diversifying assets.
So, but nonetheless, where's this demand coming from? And you said that it would double the demand here. 6 billion, you said?
600 billion.
600 billion would double the. Okay, so sorry, I thought you said 6 billion. I said, well, what? But okay, 600 billion.
Approximately double the market cap. And
right.
So you're asking
where would that demand
come from? Yeah, I think. If you think about the model portfolio, if you will, right? If you're at JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs, you're looking at the model portfolio for what is your average investor going to be holding. And your average investor right now is probably still holding less than 1% Bitcoin. And so I would not be, and I think the usual metric has something like close to 2 to 5% in something like gold. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin started to take a similar type of position in the model portfolio as gold. So if you imagine something like 2 to 5% of people's holdings in Bitcoin, that's quite a large piece. And you're going to see that across the board, right? All high net worth individuals, even now there's going to be a retail ETF, right? That's even going to be true for all retail as well. Like buy and holders will be something like, call it 60% equities, 20% fixed income, and you've got another 20% to work with, whether you're going into alts, PE, VC, or something like this, a Bitcoin ETF, and maybe a little bit of gold.
All right, Leo, Bitcoin crossed over $37,000 just as we were starting the show. We spoke about a report recently on the show that is calling for Bitcoin to be over $50,000 by the end of the year. In a little bit of a Santa rally, where do you see Bitcoin headed next? Do you think it could break the $50,000 mark by the end of the year?
I mean, it certainly can, right? This is a very volatile asset, and we've seen Bitcoin do incredible rallies before. I'm not that much of a price forecaster. I think it'll be difficult for us to dip below 34,000 ever again between now and the end of December. So the risk is definitely to the upside in this product. And if we see a ETF approval, I think we'll easily see over 40, 45,000. 50,000 is probably not crazy at all. I would give that maybe a 25 to 30% chance.
All right, and we saw a bit of an altcoin rally just some days ago. XRP was involved in that, Sol, Link. Any altcoins you're watching?
I'm certainly watching all of those. Like the Solana story is very compelling. It's quite an interesting rally. A lot of people thought of Solana as kind of a dead chain after the whole FTX debacle, but yeah, I know a bunch of those guys. There are friends of mine who say they eat glass. Like they will power through any problems that they have and any problems that the industry has to champion that technology. So, my mantra for them has been to never write them off. Like those guys are survivors, and I think the same of the Ethereum community and the Bitcoin community. These guys are not going away. We've seen bear markets before, and they're all going to build right into this bull market, and we'll see some really interesting things coming from them over the next few years.
Yeah, we do see this. We have seen these bear markets before. Bitcoin and ETH survived, but what is the narrative for the altcoins? I mean, you said they'll eat glass, and you'll be excited to see. You'll see some exciting things are coming up. But other than their incredibly poor choices in eating, what else do we see here? Like, what is the narrative that should make somebody think about investing in it, if at all?
Yeah. So personally, for myself, I'm kind of a traditional finance investor at heart. So I'm very much looking for cash flows. I'm looking for what is the fee driver in each of these tokens, and I think that the next bull cycle in altcoins is really going to be driven by fundamentals. So that is, can I earn fees from this chain? Is the chain economically sustainable? Is the chain really bringing a technology that's going to be used by the world? So you've got a number of metrics where you really want to look at profitability. This is something that we already do in equities, and I think it's inevitable in the coin space. It's interesting that we talk about Solana, because Solana in particular has a little bit of conflict in that space, right? The fee structure there is so low that the profitability of Solana as a token or as a token holder is quite questionable. So there are reasons perhaps to doubt the Solana rally. But at the same time, if you need Solana as gas on that chain, and there's a certain amount of demand for it, and there's a certain monetary premium, you could see quite a bit of value in Solana even at these levels.
All right, Leo, we are going to leave it there this morning. Thanks so much for joining the show. Always a pleasure chatting.
Yeah, great to speak with you. Have a good day.
That was Hashnote CEO Leo Mizuhara.